All right. Well, first of all, congratulations. This is such a great achievement, I'm sure, for anyone that's involved in women's basketball. So congratulations, and we're so excited that you are part of class of 2024. But we have to ask, what is it like even to find out the news and be inducted in the first place?
Well, first of all, Veronica, thank you. It's an incredible blessing to be here and for having me to chat about, like you said, this amazing achievement. And I was overwhelmed with tears of joy, to be quite honest. As a high school coach, to be acknowledged on the biggest stage in our game is just amazing, and I'm overwhelmed with gratitude.
Yes. And do you remember where you were when you found out the news, what you were doing?
Yeah, actually, I just got done working out, and I was getting ready to shower before class, and I got the phone call, and I literally was like, "Oh, I'm crying tears of joy. No, I'm sweating, I'm still sweating." And then I just embraced it and was pretty much over the moon.
I love that. And how did your involvement with basketball begin?
Oh, geez. I did everything under the sun as a little girl. My mom put me in all types of sports and activities, and I remember my heart was broken. I wanted to play baseball, and I wasn't allowed to sign up because I was a girl, and I mean, the thought of that is bananas. And my guy friends were like, "Well, gee, she throws harder than us. We want her on our team." But it didn't work out. And to that end, I picked up a basketball and fell in love with it like the very next day. And I played out in the yard, and we could play anywhere with all walks of life, and seemed to be more embraced from that standpoint. Got involved in a camp with a really inspiring coach, which kind of started me thinking about this idea of what an amazing impact this woman had on my experience at a basketball camp, and I loved it. I played softball in college. I had a softball scholarship at Northwestern University, and yet my love for basketball never wavered. And when I finished, I started coaching at the high school level, both softball and basketball, and just gravitated toward basketball. It's always been my love.
And along that journey of, finding basketball as your love, who along the way inspired you?
Oh, geez, I think it's a combination of factors. It's the various coaches. It is seeing these amazing players, these coaches. I used to love watching Pat Summitt coach. Incredible inspiration. And every time I have an opportunity to watch a game, I do. And while I would love to be a fan, I find myself trying to be a student of the game, whether that's Steve Kerr, Don Staley, Gino Auriemma, like I said, Pat Summitt. And then you have these amazing players. I used to love to watch Tamika Catchings play. I love Diana Taurasi, watching her play. So it's been a real treat over the course of my lifetime as a coach to be a fan and a student.
Yes, and mentioning Pat Summitt, obviously she was a huge impact in women's basketball. For you yourself, how have you seen basketball evolve?
Wow, I think basketball's evolved on so many levels. To go to the Final Four a couple of weeks ago to see people turn out in masses, and the amount of viewership that we've had. It's been so great to see the game grow in terms of interest. And then being involved at the grassroots level, I'm seeing the evolution of skill sets, athleticism, joy for the game, opportunity, NIL opportunities at the high school level. It's crazy good.
Yeah, for sure. And when thinking about young girls that are watching so many of these players now, dreaming of being in their shoes years later, what advice would you give young girls, whether they want to be a player or even a coach?
The advice I would give is continue to approach things with gratitude and joy. Anytime you're working or honing your craft, I think you have to have that balance of work and joy, and finding like-minded people who share your love of the sport can also push you, pull you, applaud you, and elevate you. We need to be dream chasers, dream catchers, allow people to pursue those greater heights, maybe get to places they never thought they could be. And so dream big, because it can happen.
For sure. And I want to take you back a second. You mentioned that you went to Northwestern and you played softball, but found your way back to basketball. Talk to me about that transition and when you realized that basketball truly was what you wanted to go after.
Even when I was at Northwestern, my roommate played on the women's basketball team, so I would go to her games and I'd see the men's teams play. I just love the game. I think it's the pace of play and the way that you could impact the game without the ball in your hands. And if you did have some type of misstep, you could make a difference and a positive impact. Whereas in softball, you kind of have to wait your turn, if you will. So I was immediately drawn to the challenge of coaching basketball because of the requirement of the mental agility as a coach to make in-game adjustments, and the ability to take players who could contribute on the defensive end, the offensive end. And so to build a roster and to generate a team that would play a style of basketball that could be fun, inspiring. And I think it just was drawn to that over the course of years, and I love the game of basketball.
Ah, good to hear. And also when thinking, and you coached, how would you define a good relationship between the coach and players and what that should look like amongst teams?
I think we have to remember that we aren't their friend or their parent. We're their coach, and that is important to note. We still love our players, but sometimes we have to make decisions that they necessarily are not popular, but that they need. And I will say I know that my players respect me, and I'm incredibly demanding, but I do know that I keep their best interests at heart.